Hello everybody, so welcome back. Today we are going to be doing a CSWA practice part to get you familiarized with it. We're going to be using our global variables today, so please make sure that you have Solidworks set up for MMGS, like I have down here in the bottom right hand corner, and that you have your global equations up here set up. And first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to plug in my global equations. I'm going to bring this down here to where I can see it a little bit better. We're going to start out with A, so we're going to click there, do capital A, then we're going to tab over, and A is going to be 50 millimeters. Then we're going to do B, tab over, and B is going to be 70 millimeters. And once we have that in there, we are good to go. I'm not going to put the material in quite yet because sometimes depending on the material that they choose, it can make it really dark and difficult to sketch in. But when you take the CSWA exam, you want to make sure that before you submit your answers for questions that you do have the proper material selected first. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to start off in the front plane. So I'm going to open up a sketch, and I am going to go to my corner rectangle, and I'm going to start at the origin, and I'm going to click, and I'm going to drag out, really doesn't matter where, and I am going to create a rectangle, and then I am going to dimension it with my Smart Dimension tool. I'll click down here on the bottom, and what I'm going to do here is I'm going to say that this is going to be equal to A. So go down here to global variables, click on A. We get our little green check mark, get our other green check mark, and we know that we have it locked in for global variable because we see our little E symbol here next to our dimension. And then we're going to do the same thing with this one. This one is going to be equal to B. So we'll come over here and we'll select B, click on our green check mark, our other green check mark, and this one is locked in. Now, this is helpful because in CSWA, when you are drawing for the test, you are going to have some parts where they're going to have you make different variations of it, which means that you're going to have to change some values either in height, length, or width. And this makes it a lot simpler to do than having to go back into an original sketch and start changing things. So with that in mind, we're going to go ahead and go to our Features tab. We're going to do an extruded base boss. I want to extrude this part away from me, and I'm going to extrude it 67 millimeters. I hit my green check mark and my green check mark, and I am ready to go. So for the next thing that I'm going to do, I am going to draw a circle on this front face right here. So I'll click on that and I'll open up a sketch. I'll go up here to my circle tool, and I'm just going to draw a circle in here. It really doesn't matter where. I'll just kind of eyeball it, get what I need. And then the dimension for this first circle that we're going to do is going to be a diameter of 38 millimeters. So we'll just come over here to the side and we'll type in 38. Hit enter, and it dimensions it, and then we are going to dimension it from our origin to the center point of our circle to 27 millimeters. And then I'm going to do the same thing again, vertically up to 27 millimeters, and I'm going to hit my green check mark. Now I have this locked in now. I have a fully defined sketch because I have everything dimensioned, but we have a few other things that we're going to do real quick. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to do a center line from my center point of my circle here, and I'm just going to draw it out past the edge of my current block, and I want to make sure that it is horizontal, have that horizontal relation identified, and I'm just going to click and then right click and select. And then what I want to do is I am going to go and I'm going to offset this line here, and I'm going to do an offset, and I want to make sure that I am going bidirectional. And then what I want to do here is I'm going to type in 19 divided by 2, and that will put us at 9.5, and I'll hit my green check mark. It's a lot simpler than trying to figure out, do all that math in your head. I like to make things simple if I can. All right, the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to click on this edge right here, and we're going to convert this entity. And then after we do that, I am going to go back into my line tool, and we have a slot that we have to put in here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on this edge right here, kind of guesstimating a little bit where it goes. And I want to make this approximately 29 millimeters. I'll dimension it here in a minute. And then I'm going to come down about 3.3, 4 is fine. And then I'm going to click on the end here again. And then right click and select. And then I can start dimensioning. So this one is going to be 12.5 millimeters. Oop. I'm going to leave that one right there where it's at because I want to dimension this other one first. I got a little bit close to what I was going for. This is going to be 3.3. And then I can come in here and I can change this one to 12.5, like so. And then I can dimension the length right here to 29. And that's going to make everything fully dimensioned. And the only thing I have left to do right now is just trim out a bunch of entities that I don't need. So I'm going to trim out this line right here, 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 and right there. Now everything turns a nice dark bluish gray right here. It means that we're good to go. We have a fully defined sketch. So I'll go over here to my features tab. I'll click on that. I'm going to do an extruded cut, and we'll do it from the sketch plane where we sketched that. I'm not going to do blind because I don't necessarily know if they're going to make any other changes later on. So I can do it up to surface. And then what I will do is I'll rotate my part around. I'll click on this surface so it does that extrude cut all the way out. And then I can hit my green check mark, and I have my part here all done. All right, so the next thing we'll do is, since we're here, I'm going to go ahead and open a sketch right here in this surface, and I need to put a hole through there. So I'm going to go up to my circle command, and what I want to do is I'm just going to draw myself a circle right about there. And then I'm going to start doing some dimensioning. So the hole that I'm going to do, it's going to have a diameter of 6.3 millimeters. And then I'm going to dimension it from this upper edge right here to 33.5. Right so. And then I'm going to dimension it 8.3 from the edge. 8.3. Hit enter. Locks everything in. I have a fully defined sketch. Hit the green check mark on my dimension tool. I'm going to rotate this around a little bit. And now I want to go to my features tab. I'm going to do another extruded cut. And this time I have up to surface selected already. It kind of remembered what I used last time. And I'm going to click right there. You'll see that it shows me where it's going to cut through, and then I can hit my green check mark. So I've got that done. Now, the only thing that I have left to do is I need to do a cut, another cut. So we have some features that we have to put in here. So I'm going to open up a sketch on this surface. And then what I'm going to do is I'll just click off of there. I'm going to click this edge, and I want to convert that to an entity. And then I'm going to click this edge again, and I am going to do an offset of that entity, but I don't want to be bidirectional. I want to be one direction only, and I'm going to make it 1 millimeter, like so. I hit my green check mark and I have that locked in. And then I have two entities that I need to convert right here, these two edges. I'm going to convert those. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and go down here and I'm going to just extend these out because you see that it didn't make them go all the way through the last time. And are you going to give me a hand here? You are not. So let's do, oops, didn't mean to do that. All right, so you're not going to let me. Bring that out in here. And let's see if I can do. All right. I'm going to do this again because this is just a little annoying right there. So I'm going to click on that. I'm going to do an offset of, oops, don't want to do that either. I'm going to do an offset and then I'm just going to click this. I don't need that. So I don't want to add that in there. Go back here. All right, so we are going to offset, and I'm going to click that right there. I'm going to do a green check mark. I'm going to grab this one here, drag this out. Then I'm going to drag this one out. Now it wants to be friendly. And then I'm going to convert that, and I'm going to convert that edge. So we're good to go there. I can come in here, and I can trim out the unwanted features that I don't want. That gives me an enclosed sketch right there. Now, what I am going to do here on this, I have this in here. So when I come in here to do an extruded cut, here I want to offset this from the surface based off of the sketch. And it's going to say, how far do you want to go? I'm going to say 12.5 because that's what the blueprint calls for. And then I want to make sure that I have that right. And then I'm going to say this is going to be blind. And it's going to be 1.5. Making sure that it's going in the right direction. And I need to change the direction that that is actually going to cut, which is what I want. I hit my green check mark. Right there, that's done. And then I have to do another one. And what I am going to do here is I'm going to do a reference plane. So if I come in here to plane, it's going to ask me what the reference is. So I'm going to click on this face right here. I'm going to flip the offset and I'm going to make this 42 millimeters going in that direction. And I'm going to hit my green check mark. Now, based off this plane, I'm going to open a sketch. Now, what I am going to do this time, though, is I am going to convert a bunch of entities, so I don't have to go in here and do this all over again. So, I click on Convert Entities. I'm going to click on that line, this line, that line, and then I'm going to rotate this around like so. And I'm going to zoom in here and I'm going to click that line and I'm going to say, all right, so now I have everything drawn in. You see how my sketch right there on my plane. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to come back over to my features tab. I'm going to do another extruded cut. And this time I want to make sure that it is going away from my sketch plane like so. It's locked in at 1.5 millimeters. So that looks like I am good to go right now. So I can hit my green check mark and I have that feature, the last feature inside of there done. So the only thing left to do right now is to draw my features on the back side here. But the first thing I'm going to do before I do that, I'm going to hide this plane because to me they get a little annoying when you have a bunch of visual clutter in there. So now I'm going to click on this surface. I'm going to open up a sketch. And then I'm going to come into my line drawing tool. I'm going to do a center line. And I'm going to draw 2 center lines. One here. And then I'm going to do another one. Now, one thing you haven't seen me do too much, I've been just clicking on a point and then dragging over, clicking, right click, and then hit select, and it cancels it out. But if you start on a point and you click and hold, and then draw up to another point and let go, it ends that line or that sketch at that particular point. So now I'm going to hit my green check mark again. I have everything in there. And here we're going to offset these 4.8 millimeters. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to do offset entities. Here I'm going to type in 4.8. And then I'm going to hit these lines and make sure they're bidirectional right there and say, all right, green check mark, we're good to go. Now, the only thing that I have left to do is I have some more conversions to do. I'm going to convert this line, that line, that line, and that line. I hit my green check mark, and that encloses everything in my sketch in, and I can go to trim entities. And at this point, I'm just going to trim out everything that I don't need to do my sketch. So we'll do that, do that, do that, do that, do that, do that, and do that. We have everything almost done that we need, which is good. We're going to have an enclosed sketch here pretty soon. It's good to go. It's changed color. It is fully defined. So now all we have to do is go to our Features tab. Click on that. We're going to do an extruded cut. I want to go to a depth of 150 millimeters. I want to make sure that it is going in the right direction towards the inside of the block. I can hit my green check mark, and we are now done. And I have that sketch right there. So you'll see our finished part. The last thing that we need to do is add some material, and the material for this is AISI 1020. So I'll right click on material, go to edit, looking for AISI 1020 under steel. I'm going to click on that. I'm going to hit apply, and then I'm going to close. And then on the CSWA exam, what they will want you to do is you're going to come over here to the Evaluate tab, and you're going to click on Mass Properties. And then you're going to have to check under your mass right here to see if it, on the very first question that they usually give you for part drawing, is they're going to ask you what the mass value is in grams, and they're going to give you a multiple choice question. So you'll have 4 answers that you can choose from. Your answer should be within 1%, they say on the exam, but I'm going to tell you that if it doesn't match exactly one of the 4 answers on there, you probably need to go back and look at it, because these things can stack. If you have something that's a little off on your first sketch, and then you go through and you start making other changes, it's going to start adding to it. And by the end, you could wind up with a lot of wrong answers. You have to pass, if I'm remembering correctly, with a minimum 70%. So it's broken up into 2 different sections now. It's no longer a 3-hour test. They have one section which is an hour and a half. They have another section that is also an hour and a half. But the first section of the exam is the hardest because there's a lot to do, and you only have an hour and a half, so you have to get really comfortable with drawing. All right, so that concludes this sketch. Now, you can see up here, we've talked about this before as well. It says part 2, and it has a little asterisk next to it. That means that we have not saved this part, which we need to before we exit out of here. So I'm just going to say, I'm going to save this as CSWA exam prep 1, because this is the first one that we did. I'm going to go ahead and save this right here. And if you have any questions, make sure you leave them in the comments below, or you can ask me in the class. We've already done this part, but for future classes, what I would have you do is upload this to the assignments folder. Okay? All right. Hope you enjoyed the video. We will talk to you later. Goodbye.